welcome back. You didn't come here by accident. You came because something inside you refuses to settle. Today's not about tricks. It's not about lines or tactics or chasing someone who keeps slipping away. It's about uncovering the kind of masculine presence that doesn't need to perform because it radiates from within. In this video, we're going to reveal a side of attraction no one talks about. Not the surface-level sparks, but the quiet, deep force that makes a woman wonder why she can't stop thinking about you, even when you say nothing. We'll walk through 5 invisible principles, each drawn from Stoic mastery and psychological truth, to help you stop chasing and start drawing her in. Let's begin. Number 1, the irresistible power you can't fake. In every man's journey, there's a moment he realizes that no matter how hard he tries, no matter how well he dresses, how charming his lines sound, how fat his bank account is, none of that guarantees that a woman will feel him. Because attraction, the kind that touches something ancient inside her, cannot be manufactured. It can only be emitted. It begins in silence, not noise. It starts in stillness, not performance. It is the power of a man who doesn't need to impress, because he has already impressed himself. This is the truth most men don't want to hear. The most powerful force of attraction doesn't come from your words, your wealth, or even your looks. It comes from your presence, how deeply you inhabit yourself. When you walk into a room and your emotions aren't scattered, when your eyes don't search for approval, but witness with intention, when your mind isn't chasing validation but resting in clarity, that's when she feels something she can't explain. Not because you said the right thing, but because you said nothing at all. In the language of psychology, this is called non-reactive presence. In the language of the Stoics, it's called self-mastery. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And that's the kind of freedom a woman can feel and fears losing, because the man who is master of himself is never mastered by her reactions. Let's take a closer look at why this hits so deep. When a woman meets a man who doesn't orbit her approval, who isn't seeking her reaction like a thirsty child, her brain doesn't know what to do. It's not boredom she feels, it's tension, mystery. It's a challenge to the part of her that's used to being in control, because most men, without knowing it, give themselves away immediately, through over-eagerness, through trying to be funny, through giving too much too soon. But a man who is still, who doesn't rush, who observes more than he speaks, he becomes a mirror, and in that mirror, she sees herself more vividly than ever before. This is the paradox. The more you chase her attention, the more invisible you become. The more you remain grounded in your core, the more magnetic you appear. Misconception alert. Some believe this kind of calm means being dull or cold. They confuse silence with lack of confidence. But true confidence doesn't need to be loud. It carries the authority of the unshakable. So what's the secret? You don't become magnetic by trying. You become magnetic by subtracting neediness, subtracting comparison, subtracting approval seeking, as Marcus Aurelius wrote. Look within. Within is the fountain of good, and it will ever bubble up if thou wilt ever dig. And when you dig deep enough, you discover a kind of power that doesn't shout, it radiates. And that's the kind of power she can't ignore, because it doesn't aim to convince her, it compels her. This is not just a dating strategy. This is the spiritual art of becoming a centered man. So let me leave you with this. If you want to be truly irresistible, don't add more tricks to your bag. Remove what isn't you. Now speak out and comment below. I don't chase attraction, I become it. Number 2, the subtle art of emotional tension. It's not the words you say, it's the silence you leave behind. She leans in, not because you confessed your feelings, but because you withheld just enough to spark her imagination. And in that sliver of space between what you said and what you didn't desire is born. What separates a man she remembers from the one she forgets is not loud declarations or grand gestures, it's the subtle dance of tension. And the most intoxicating tension is emotional, not physical. Let's be clear. The man who knows how to tease, not mock, not insult, but tease with a twinkle in his eye enters a realm most men never reach. He creates a feeling. He awakens curiosity. You think you're cute? I might need more evidence. Just like that. Playful, not needy. A gentle push, then pull. It's not about manipulation. It's about polarity. And polarity, masculine presence versus feminine chaos, stillness versus movement, is the electricity behind every magnetic moment. Neuroscience confirms this. Dopamine, the chemical of anticipation and craving, spikes when there's uncertainty. That's why the moment before the kiss often feels more powerful than the kiss itself. The tease is the thrill. But here's the problem. Most men play it too safe. They say what's expected. They flatter too quickly. Or worse, they never challenge her worldview. Others go too far, mocking, testing, trying to dominate. That's not teasing. That's insecurity in disguise. The Stoic man. He dances in the middle. He doesn't flatter for validation. He doesn't provoke to prove his power. He simply offers tension a mirror that reflects her beauty, her mystery, her femininity, and lets her feel seen, not praised. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." A teasing man is not performing. He's being comfortable in his own energy, inviting her into a world where every word has rhythm, every pause has weight. Here's a real-world example. She compliments your shirt. You smile slowly and say, "So you've been checking me out." I knew it. It's playful, not defensive, not apologetic. It frames her interest as natural and your confidence as unshaken. And she laughs not because you're trying to impress her, but because she feels free around you. Common misunderstanding. Men think teasing is about being clever, but it's not about lines, it's about tone. Say the same words with a desperate tone, and it falls flat. Say them with certainty and stillness, and you spark wildfire. Here's the deeper point. Women don't fall for the man who says everything right. They fall for the one who feels right, the man who can create emotional elevation without losing emotional control. This is not pickup, it's emotional leadership, it's rhythm, it's restraint, it's a conversation that moves like jazz, unexpected, flowing alive. So if you want to draw her in, don't try to dominate the moment. Own your energy, balance play with presence. Let her wonder where she stands and watch how she tries to close the gap. Because the moment she starts guessing is the moment she starts chasing. Now speak out and comment below. I create tension, not confusion. Number 3, the irresistible power of being willing to walk away. Not needing her is what makes her need you. That's the paradox most men never master. They chase, they appease, they bend their spine just to be kept in her orbit, and in doing so, they erase the very gravity that once pulled her in. But the man who is willing to walk away, who values his peace over her presence, radiates something she cannot ignore: rare strength. You see, in a world where attention is currency and desperation is the norm, the man who can withhold becomes the one she watches most. When he doesn't reply immediately, when he pauses before agreeing to meet, when he says no, not with resentment but with calm firmness, he is not playing a game. He is declaring silently, "I am whole, with or without you." From a Stoic perspective, this is the essence of detachment. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "How much time he saves who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does or thinks." Now imagine applying that to your relationships. How much emotional energy you conserve when you're not enslaved to her reactions. Psychologically, this taps into the principle of scarcity. What is scarce is valued. What is always available becomes invisible. A woman's attraction spikes not when you chase her, but when you stand still rooted, letting her wonder why you don't move. But here's the deeper layer. Being willing to walk away isn't about punishing her. It's about preserving you. Because when a man gives himself away too cheaply, when he tolerates disrespect, overextends himself, or fears abandonment, he teaches her that his self-worth is negotiable. And no woman wants to respect a man who doesn't respect his own boundaries. The strongest man isn't the one who stays no matter what. It's the one who stays only when he's met with equal respect. This is where most men fall. They confuse availability with value. They think showing they're always there proves loyalty. But loyalty without standards is self-abandonment. Here's an example. She's hot and cold, sometimes present, sometimes aloof. You notice it. You feel the shift. And instead of confronting it with neediness, you respond with clarity. I'm not here to convince anyone of my worth. I value presence, not confusion. Then you give her space, not as a tactic, but as a truth. And that truth will either draw her closer or free you for someone who does. And either way, you win. Because here's what Stoicism teaches us. You don't control her feelings. You only control your standard. The moment you become okay with walking away from what no longer serves your peace is the moment you become magnetic to what does. This isn't arrogance. This is the calm of a man who knows he won't be conquered by his own longing. Now speak out and comment below. I walk away from anything that costs me my peace. Number 4. Silent fire. Creating sexual tension without saying a word. She doesn't crave your compliments. She craves the way your silence makes her heart race. That lingering eye contact, the space between your words. The moment you lean in, then pull back without explanation. This is the art of unspoken tension, and most men never learn it, because most men are loud. They announce their desire. They rush to tell her she's sexy. They flood her DMs. But the man who speaks with presence instead of words, the man who lets silence breathe and lets her imagination run wild, that man becomes unforgettable. Why? Because true sexual tension isn't about being vulgar. It's about withholding, not to manipulate, but to invite her into a space where her feminine instinct awakens, slowly, completely. Picture this. You're sitting beside her. You don't speak right away. You lock eyes not with hunger, but with certainty. Your breath is calm. She looks away first, and in that moment she feels something shift inside her. A soft pull, a curiosity, a tension not yet named. This is not about dominance, it's about emotional pacing. Most men sprint into intimacy. The Stoic man. He walks slowly, letting the atmosphere thicken with intention. Epictetus once said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. If you would be a man of mystery, of depth, of composure, then let your presence speak louder than your lips." Psychologically, this taps into the power of anticipation. Women are wired to respond to emotional buildup. If you give too much too soon, she skips the journey. If you give just enough, she leans in hungry for more. But don't mistake this for coldness. Touch her hand, but only briefly. Stand close, but not clinging. Speak slowly, but not seductively. Let her wonder if this pull she feels is real or just her own imagination playing tricks. Because the moment she starts asking herself, "What is he thinking? Why does he make me feel this way?" is the moment she becomes emotionally invested. And here's the irony. You haven't said a thing. You haven't declared desire. You haven't made a move. You've simply held yourself like a man who could but doesn't need to. And that drives her wild. But this takes practice. It takes control, not just of your words, but your body language, your breathing, your timing. Because a man who can build tension without needing to explode It is a man she will think about long after you leave the room. So don't chase her with words. Let her chase the feeling you leave behind. Now comment below and own your energy. My silence speaks louder than words. Number 5. The masculine presence that makes her feel feminine. She doesn't fall for perfection. She falls for presence, real, raw, grounded. Not the man who flaunts muscles or money, but the one who walks into a room and claims space without a word. The one whose energy wraps around her like gravity. Because every woman, no matter how independent, longs for a moment to exhale, to let go of her thoughts, her worries, her guard. And only one kind of man gives her permission to do that. The man who is so deeply in control of himself that she can finally stop trying to control everything. This is not dominance, it's emotional stability. It's the subtle power of the man who moves with certainty, who opens a door not to impress her, but because that's who he is, who speaks with calm conviction, not to persuade, but to express. Watch closely. She's scanning for tension, not in you, but in herself. And when you stand there, silent, calm, confident, her nervous system starts to mirror yours. Suddenly, she doesn't have to think. She just feels. That's the shift. From masculine thought to feminine feeling. From analyzing to surrender. From control to flow. Psychologically, this taps into something primal. A woman's sense of femininity isn't given, it's awakened. And nothing awakens it more than a man who doesn't try to impress. He simply is. He looks at her not with hunger but recognition. He listens not to respond but to understand. He touches not to take but to ground her in the present moment. Example, you walk beside her at night. You guide her with a hand on her lower back, not forcefully but firmly. She doesn't pull away. She feels safe, seen, desired, not because you said so, but because your presence told her nervous system she can relax now. This is rare, because most men either try too hard or they're too passive to lead. But the Stoic man knows. Leadership isn't loud, it's calm, it's still, it's embodied. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. This power, when mastered, transforms everything. She no longer sees you as someone to test. She feels you as someone to trust." That's the shift. She becomes soft, not because you asked, but because your strength gave her permission to be. So forget the lines, forget the chase, forget the performance. Become the man who walks in stillness, and you'll awaken a part of her she forgot existed. Now speak out and comment below. My presence awakens her femininity. Number 6. The Stoic secret to unshakable attraction. The most magnetic man is not the one who wins every heart, but the one who never needs to. Let that settle. Because here's the final shift, the most difficult and the most powerful. The man who becomes truly irresistible is the man who doesn't need to be. He doesn't chase. He doesn't perform. He doesn't shape himself to her preferences or seek her validation. Instead, he lives in alignment with his values, his standards, his self-respect. This is where attraction moves beyond chemistry into gravity. It's not just a spark, it's pull. And ironically, it begins when a man becomes fully prepared to walk away. The Stoics called this apatheia, not apathy, but emotional equanimity. Seneca wrote, "The greatest wealth is a poverty of desires," meaning the man who wants nothing commands everything because he's not trying to get something from her. He's full already. He isn't performing intimacy to fill a void, he's offering connection from a place of wholeness. When she realizes this, something shifts in her. She can't manipulate him, can't test him, can't push or pull him emotionally because he stays centered. And here's what makes him addictive. He listens but doesn't react. He gives but never overextends. He enjoys but never attaches. He desires but never needs. He is peace in a world that constantly pulls on her nerves, and what's rare is safety in strength. When a man is no longer enslaved by the need for approval, he becomes free to offer genuine connection. That's what women crave on a level deeper than attraction. Not the man who needs her to choose him, but the one who has already chosen himself. Let's be clear. This doesn't mean being cold or distant. It means being deeply rooted in your essence. You laugh because you find joy. You flirt because you enjoy the dance. You leave when your boundaries are crossed. No drama, no revenge. Because you know, the highest form of desire is freedom. And when you embody that, she'll chase the very thing you no longer need to give. The moment you stop trying to be chosen is the moment she starts choosing you, not out of fear, not out of obligation, but out of pure admiration. You become unforgettable not because you tried, but because you didn't need to. Now speak out and comment below. I attract by being whole, not by seeking approval. So here's the truth. You don't become magnetic by learning what to say. You become magnetic by mastering what not to do. You don't become irresistible by controlling her emotions. You become irresistible by controlling your own. Women don't fall for the loudest man in the room. They fall for the one who moves like he's already whole. The one who can flirt without need. The one who can touch without attachment. The one who can walk away without fear. This isn't about pretending, it's about becoming. The world doesn't need more men who perform. It needs more men who embody. And when you start living from your center, when you stop chasing and start leading, you'll stop being a choice and become a desire. Now, comment below. I don't chase. I attract by mastering myself. And if this message struck a chord with something deep in you, subscribe, share, and keep walking the Stoic path. Because the strongest presence is the one that doesn't need to prove itself. Welcome to your new standard.